This is Full Count, the show for baseball fans by baseball fans that takes the extra base and delivers a save each and every week. Presented by Dinger Bats and DingerBats.com. Now here are your hosts, the round mound of sound, Keith Gibson, and owner of Dinger Bats, Kyle Drone.
Play ball!
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Full Count, a show for baseball fans by baseball fans. I am Keith Gibson, the round mound of sound, and with me, my co-host as usual, the owner of Dinger Bats, Kyle Drone. Kyle, how are you this Saturday morning?
I am terrific. Keith, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. You should be terrific, my friend. As we will get into a little bit later, you have many reasons to celebrate right now.
Yes, we do.
Hey, we're going to have a lot of things to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Yankees and how they can't win if they wanted to buy one. And I think at this point they might. We'll talk about the Oakland A's and their hot streak after an 0-6 start. But they are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. And we'll talk 10-5 rights and what that means for an MLB player. During our Clubhouse Chat, we'll welcome in Josh Knipp and Drew Hardee, members of KHG Sports Management, MLBPA, agents for players, and we're going to get their perspective on kind of what a contract takes to get done for a free agent and what service time means to their clients. So it should be a fun time. Some of your friends are great guys, Kyle.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate them taking the time. They've got a lot of good information for the listeners and us as well. So looking forward to it.
We'll get everything started with, as we do each and every week, by going around the horn. And Kyle Drone, you and your team at Dinger Bats have much reason to celebrate because now, ladies and gentlemen, Dinger Bats is now on MLB the Show 2021. So congratulations to you, my friend.
Thank you.
That's going to be a big accomplishment for Team Dinger.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's probably the biggest accomplishment we've had since, getting big league guys to swing our bats. Now, we're recognized by, the top game makers. MLB the Show is by far the best baseball game out there. And now we're going to get a lot more exposure to the gaming world and fans all over the place, all over the world. So
now you can see anybody swing a dinger. Literally, anybody in the show can swing a dinger now, which is awesome. That means Keith Gibson, the starting third baseman who's 6'2", and 180 pounds and a 99 across the board, can swing a dinger. It's exciting. I'm excited for you guys, and I know it's a big accomplishment.
Thank you.
How did this all come about, though? I know there's got to be a lot of back-end stuff you guys had to go through, but just kind of tell everybody and the listeners what kind of went through that.
Yeah, first I got to hand it all to my marketing and business development guy, Shane Shepard. He's been working on this for a couple years now. A lot of, red tape, so to speak, to get through. A lot of back and forth, and he's been on it and finally got it done. And according to him, the people at Sony were tremendous to work with, and they were, very gracious and helped us a lot along the way. So, we're just thrilled, excited, and been getting texts nonstop from friends that got the early release before we could even say anything, and were sending me screenshots saying, "Dude, you made the show," and it's just cool.
It is really, really cool. I've played the show for a long, long time. I think actually since it came out, and I've had many copies, and I still play it to this day. That's kind of my de-stressor, is to sit down and play a couple games of the show. And now I'm just as excited as all the other fans, and excited for you guys, and very proud and happy. So it's pretty awesome that now everybody can swing a dinger. But it's not only awesome. It's not only your bats that are on there though; it's sunglasses too, right?
Yeah, I haven't gamed in a long time, but I'm starting back now.
That's a good time to do that, brother.
Yeah, so I don't. I guess you can get to different levels and buy different packages, or you accumulate enough points and you can upgrade to, sunglasses and batting gloves and different bats that give you more power, more accuracy, things like that. So I'm relearning all that stuff from my old gaming days. But yeah, it's exciting and cool, and everybody that I know that does game says it's pretty amazing. So
It is. I will give you that. I'm one of those guys, and so yeah, congratulations to you guys, and we'll just
Thank you.
keep going on. Now, a question for you, and I don't know if you can preview this to our listeners, but is it like a contract, like a 1-year contract, 2-year contract? Is it kind of a year-to-year thing that you got to work on?
No, I don't think it's a contract at all. I think once we're in, we're in.
That's awesome.
As far as I know.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you once again. And if you haven't got a copy of MLB The Show 2021 and you're a baseball fan, I don't know what you're doing. But no, I know you can follow Dinger Bats on Twitter. And Shane has been working out very hard, and they've got some pre-sale copies, some early copies they're looking to give away and promote that. So make sure you follow them on Twitter, and maybe you could be a lucky one to win a brand new copy of MLB The Show. So let's talk a little bit other things in baseball. My pick to win the AL East, Kyle Drone, not looking real good, and that's the New York Yankees. Wow. Did I ever think it would get this bad this early for the Yankees? No, but it has looked awful.
Their offense is basically obsolete right now. I don't know. Their best hitter, DJ LeMahieu, I think, is barely hitting 250, 260, and he's usually 320, 330. So it's just they're having a hard time producing runs. Pitching's not horrible. They're just not putting runs up on the board.
And for a team that, we talked earlier this month as a team that could put up big numbers with guys like Stanton, Judge, Sanchez, Gleyber Torres, LeMahieu. There's nobody on that lineup right now that's seeing the ball well.
No, it's definitely shocking, and they better turn around quick because if you get too deep, then it's hard to come back.
Well, especially in that AL East, you have the Red Sox, the Jays. You got to look at that. That those are teams that are past you quickly. There, the Rays have been hot too and winning ball games. Yep. So we can't forget about the Rays. The Orioles. Well, it's just another season for the Orioles. But but yeah, the Yankees.
They're putting up some fights for teams, though. They're not getting people aren't pushing them over.
No,
I mean,
correct.
They're not winning a lot of games, but they're making it close.
Speaking of winning a lot of games, the Oakland Athletics went from 0-6, dropped the first 6 games to start the season, and then since have won 11 straight. Kyle Drone, how do the Oakland A's do this every year? They don't have big major stars. They don't spend a lot of money. They just have guys who work hard each and every day. Is that what it is?
It's got to be. I mean, they buy into the program, I guess, and just grind it out because it's amazing to win, 5 games in a row, let alone 11 at any one time in the season. And they're I think they lead the league in come from behind wins and 1-run games and walk-off wins or something like that. It's they're getting the timely hitting when they need to.
Then that's the big major key part for them right now is they are getting the big, the 2-out hits. The guys hits with runners in scoring position right now. They're producing runs but not hitting the long ball a whole lot. But they've got guys who can thump the ball. You look at Chapman, you look at Olsen, guys like that. They can put the bat on the ball and put it in the stands when they need to. One of the guys that has been hot here lately for them is a guy that came over from Mitch Moreland, their DH.
Mm-hmm.
What's Mitch Moreland? Is he 60 now?
It seems like he's been around forever, but I mean, he's bounced around. He always seems to make a small impact at the right time for these teams. The Red Sox, he's been with the Rangers, I think the Padres. I mean, he's not an everyday guy, but I think he may be a fit for Oakland.
Who will, and they traded Simeon in the offseason, or Simeon left, I guess, in the offseason and went to Toronto, and, they brought over Elvis Andrus from Texas in that trade with Chris Davis. And so that seems to be working out well as well for them. So everything they've touched so far has worked for Oakland. It wasn't too far long ago, the big money ball, and they won 20 in a row. We'll see if they can keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are on pace, so we'll see.
Let's talk a little NL Central, too, because we love to talk about the Midwest and the NL Central and our Cards and Cubs. The Cubs we can pass on because they can't hit themselves out of a wet paper bag right now. We either score 13 runs or we get 2 hits. That's right. What it is. It's feast or famine.
Right.
But let's talk about the Brewers a little bit. The Brewers have got some great pitching, are winning ball games, and they're not even 100% healthy yet because Yelich has kind of been here and there, and he's been on the 10-day IL here lately. Are the Brewers a team that may surprise you and I and just walk away with this Central Division?
I mean, it's possible. I think the pitching's not going to hold up that long. I mean, they're definitely going to be solid, but they're performing way above their norm right now. But you know, the Brewers are always a tough team, or have been in the recent years. And you know, I don't know that they can run away with it because the Central, like we always talk about, usually beats up on each other. So if everybody can keep them close, I still think they're a good contender for the playoffs. But you know, I don't know that they're going to run away with it.
The other thing I've noticed too is a young Pittsburgh Pirates team is still floating around that 500 mark here in April, and Shelty's got them playing some good baseball. They got to keep Brian Hayes back, but guys are producing there and they're young, and so who knows how long this will last, and hopefully it does for them. But the Pirates are a team that could upset a lot of folks come playoff time too, and could make it play a lot of spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, Shelty's doing it right. You know, he's got a young team, and they're buying into the system, and he's shuffling it up, man. He's getting everybody in there, getting everybody at bats, so that when the big time comes, he can call on anybody and not, you know, have a guy been sitting on the bench for 10 days, you know, trying to expect him to get the big hit.
The other team we haven't talked about really are your St. Louis Cardinals, who somehow, you know, they're playing good baseball, solid. Wayno at the age of 75, still getting wins. But your Cardinals seem to kind of be the same way the Cubs are. It's either feast or famine, putting up some big numbers or struggling offensively. But one guy who has struggled mightily here is Matt Carpenter. Matty just hasn't seemed to be able to put anything together this year. Is it time for that to kind of move on and just bite the bullet and eat that contract?
I don't know about just yet. You know, let him try to get into the swing of things, and then, you know, I'm not 100%. I know he said at the beginning of the season he was going to accept the role. I don't know if that's just talk or if he really believes that. If he can really believe that, I think he can contribute and be a big factor for him. But if he's not, then mid-season, you know, look for something else maybe. I don't think we can get anybody to take him. It'll be a reversed Arenado trade. We'll have to give him away and then pay him.
Right. Right now he's hitting 081, 37 at bats. He's gotten 3 hits, struck out 16 times. That's not the Matt Carpenter I know. That's not the Matt Carpenter you know.
No.
It's been a struggle for him the last couple of years, and I hope he does turn it around because you know, in his prime and in the last, you know, between 16 and 18, man, he was solid. You know, he was a great player who put up, you know, 28 homers in 15, 36 and 18. He's a guy who has some thump in his bat too, but man, it just is not clicking for him. So I'm wondering, how long does it take Mozeliak to pull that trigger and either DFA or what? I'm not sure what as a Cardinal fan, I'm not sure what move you do make.
Yeah, I don't either, man. Like I said, it's still early, and he's not become a cancer to the clubhouse as far as I know. So as long as he's putting in the work and committed to the team effort and all that, I think he can turn it around. But if he doesn't and he lays down, I think you got to look elsewhere.
Well, and that's one thing I don't see, even as from the outside perspective, looking at it, not as a Cardinal fan. I don't think you'll ever see Matt Carpenter become a cancer in the locker room. Nor do I see that he will ever lay down. That guy's going to fight with everything he's got and work until he just can't work no more. So
I agree.
Any other tidbits you want to talk about? The Mariners are hot as well, playing some good baseball out west.
Yeah, one of your sleepers.
Yeah. Well, a deep sleeper. We'll see how long that lasts, but they're playing some good baseball. You know, I haven't seen a whole lot of bad baseball really here as of late.
No, I mean, even the cellar dwellers have been playing up. Like I said, the Orioles, they're putting up fights. They're not winning a tremendous amount of games, but they're winning enough you can't just expect to go into Baltimore and roll over them. So
right. One team I have got to watch a little bit of lately because I've been watching the Cubs a little bit more because I get the Marquee Network now, and so I've got to see them. I got to see them play the Cubs, and you know, Lindor got his first home run this week as a Met. $341 million for a first home run, so congratulations to him and his blue hair. But, J.D. Davis at third base, we talked about the Mets and that NL East. The Mets, to me, watching them, do not say division winner, do not say playoff contender to me right now whatsoever, right. And they aren't getting a whole lot of pitching either.
No, not early on. DeGrom's pretty much all they've got. I don't know if it's a matter of they haven't won and they don't know how to win, or maybe they just don't have the right leadership. I don't know, but they don't strut into the ball field or into the ballpark and anybody's scared by any means.
Which is amazing because they have a ton of talent on that ball club. You look at
absolutely.
Jeff McNeil, great hitter. Led the league a couple of years ago, was one of the top 5 hitters in baseball. You look at Alonso, who's hit some massive home runs, a great first baseman. I'm big on Michael Conforto, and then you got Lindor, and you've got McCann. You've got offensive weapons, and you should have some pitching. But that's exactly right. That's a great way to put that is nobody fears the Mets. So
right now, yeah.
Kind of crazy. But, hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and sit down with our Clubhouse Chat. And we're going to sit down with Josh Knipp and Drew Hardee of KHG Sports Management, MLBPA certified agents. And we're going to talk free agent contracts and service time. You'll want to stick around for this because it's a great sit-down chat with them. And you're going to learn a little bit because we both did. I know that for a fact when we sat down and talked with them. So stay with us. We'll be right back with our Clubhouse Chat right here on Full Count.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Ford of Tuscola.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small-town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at FordofTuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
Welcome back to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone, bringing another weekly episode. Now it's time for our Clubhouse Chat. And this week we welcome in Josh Knipp, president of KHG Sports Management, and Drew Hardee, vice president. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
We want to dive in. We like to give our listeners and our fans an education, like I like to say, about different aspects of baseball. I want to start off by asking, how does an actual player negotiation and a contract work, as you guys are MLBPA certified agents? So how does that work when you work a deal?
Great question. It's a great question. Thanks again for having us on. So it kind of depends on what we're dealing with. We're dealing the draft side, or are we dealing with free agency? You asking from a free agency perspective?
Well, let's talk free agency perspective.
Yeah. Free agent perspective. Well, it starts earlier than when they become a free agent. Of course, there's a window there where the teams have a kind of exclusive rights, and they have rights up till 5 days after the World Series. And so during that time period, we're having conversations with the team they're currently with, and seeing whether there's an interest there. And then a deal we've done before, there was interest, and we actually got the deal done prior to that. And a lot of them are done that way, especially on like the 6-year minor league free agents. On the big league side, you're going to see more. People are going to test that market a little bit more. But from the 6-year minor league free agents, that's the first time those guys can actually get paid more than the pittance that we all know that minor leaguers get paid. So it's kind of a nice deal where they offer possibly 6 figures. And for a lot of these players, it's really tough to explain to them that, hey, maybe we can go test the market, because they just went from making about $12,000 to $125,000, and it's that's quite a day for them. So right. It starts there. Starts with those teams there. Then after that 5-day window after the World Series happens, minor league side is up, and it's basically it's relationships, conversations, pretty much about 12:01 on that 5th day. Phone, a lot of text messages. And it's just based on, hey, it always starts with, hey, we need to see their medicals. There's never a conversation that doesn't lead off with that. Maybe that's some of the guys we've had that, had some medical history, but almost always starts with that. And then once those exchanges happen, then it just gets into some terms, and it's not always, top dollar that matters. There's a lot of other things that go into that. And, I could probably go on for hours about this. So I'm passionate about, but I don't know how long your show is. So I'll leave it to leave you to a follow-up question off of what I just said there. What are you more interested in, I guess?
Well, I will say too, off of that, the market's not only in affiliated ball right here in the States, right? Like the market could also be overseas in Japan and China and Korea and so on. So
now,
there's a bigger market than a lot of people think about.
Do the rules apply the same internationally as they do in the States, or do you have to, still wait for that certain window before you can negotiate overseas?
Yeah, there's a timeline with that based on, there's not necessarily from our perspective, like the agent player don't really have any rules on that necessarily, but the teams do and other leagues do, tampering and things like that. So yeah, there's
they've got agreements within themselves that protect each other.
Yeah,
okay.
MLB and the NPB and the Mexican League, and they all kind of have their own, rules that kind of dictate when and who you can speak to at what time. So yeah, that's how that goes.
What helps you guys kind of dictate the market for your players and your clients that you see, okay, this is what we're going to ask for, this is what the market's kind of driven. What drives your market the most?
In our world, it's analysis. We do deep dive into just about every contract. We have access to every contract that's been signed in baseball for pretty much almost eternity. So we have access to that. We do a lot of homework on that based on, hey, this is where our player falls, this comp. So the value itself, that comes teams and us, we'll kind of fall in there. Usually it's just easy, just based off other contracts. I will say there was one time with Luke Haggerty when we signed him with the Cubs. That was a fun one I did with Kyle Evans was his name. He's in the front office there. His was different because Luke was coming off not playing for about 12 years. And we came up with a value based on what his gym was making. Luke runs X2 out of Scottsdale. And we came off of, hey, this was his monthly revenue. And if he goes and plays ball and loses that, he's got 2 kids and a wife and all that. So Kyle was pretty creative with us. It worked out really well. And
nice.
That's obviously not your norm, but we did a profit and loss sheet basically to figure that one out.
Nice.
Now, Drew, where
typically it's just comps. It's just everything's comps. Everything's based on, hey, what's that?
I said, where are you both based out of? I know, Drew, you're in North Carolina. Is that right?
Yeah, we both are. We're both out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Yep.
Yeah, I am currently sitting in Defiance, Ohio. At
vacationing
vacationing in Defiance without any Wi-Fi, but came up here for some baseball this weekend. So, which it was snowed yesterday. So we'll see if we get some baseball this weekend or not.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah. Did you guys get snow down there?
Oh, we did. Nothing stuck, but I guess it stayed on the rooftops overnight, but it was a pretty good snow. It just, obviously too warm to stick and do anything. But my son was begging to go put a snowman together. I was like, yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah. This morning, I brought my 10-year-old back with me to Ohio, and he went out. He threw a snowball just to say, hey, I threw a snowball this year. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. What's some of the probably down south? So
what's some of the weird things you guys have had to put into contracts? Weird stipulations.
I don't know if we've had Drew. You got anything on that? We have anything?
I'm trying to think. I don't think we've had anything crazy.
Yeah.
Typically, in a contract, you get like, I want, a hotel suite, just 1 bedroom. Is there things like that? The little things, intricacies like that in a contract?
That's a great question, and yeah, you are going to touch on something that I probably could go on for hours about. No, we haven't had those, and I don't think we ever will. It's not something we educate our clients really well on some things, and my thought process on getting a hotel suite is we are going to be giving away much more on a salary dollar amount than you buying your own doggone suite in the hotel. And I'll give the example of the CBA. The last CBA we had an issue with, and it's been out there a lot, and everybody talks about is there's the argument, and this isn't completely accurate, that the union, it's all one giant negotiation. So I'm not trying to kill the union for this one thing, but it's out there that the union got a chef in each clubhouse, right? Mm-hmm. And the theory was that it actually took away from some other things. It gave, basically gave ownership some other major economic incentive to get a chef in there. And doing the math on that, like the players could have just pooled their money together, pulled $120,000 together easily, and got their own doggone chef, right? Instead, they may have given away $1 million bonus chip for a $120,000 chef. So,
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of these little. There's some that are great out there. They're pretty hilarious, frankly. But yeah, I think we're giving away a lot of economic leverage if we, want to get one of these pet project. What a sweet, a suite on the road.
Yeah. And you do hear these crazy stories of these guys that, they have to have a suite for their family at home games and stuff like that. So yeah, we haven't had anything like that yet, but like he said, we probably won't have too much of it in the future either.
Very cool.
Good question. That's a good question though. And yeah, those are intriguing and they're fun to negotiate, but yeah, I don't think at the end of the day, we're probably giving more up than what we can get.
I think if anything, it'd be more of like a tax implication kind of thing when it comes to the contract, as far as like, hey, let's keep him down in Florida a little longer so he's not taxed in New York or something like that. But
yeah, that's a great one. Also, tickets. That's a good one. I'd love for your audience to know that. Like, this is a great question. They have their buddy who plays Major League Baseball. Minor league tickets are comped, right? When you're in A-ball, AA, AAA, and you have 6 buddies show up to a game, those are comped. When you go to the big leagues, it's kind of bizarre, but the player actually gets taxed on that. So when, it's like your third cousin's, high school teacher who wants to get you like, hey, can your buddy who plays for the Reds now get me a ticket to a game? Like, they're probably going to do it because they're nice guys, or at least our guys are, but they're getting clipped for, depending on where you're at. If you're in Boston, you're getting clipped for about $100 on taxes. So just something to think about with like, oh, I remember that guy from 3rd grade, hopefully he can hook up me and 7 of my buddies. Like, it actually does cost him money. And unfortunately, a lot of guys, I think I saw a stat yesterday, actually, that half of baseball players are making under $600,000, which I know, hey, for $600,000 is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But they all think they're all making, that Lindor money, $341 million. But a lot of them are making $600K and they're going up and down. So at the end of the year, they're making, maybe 300,000. And then you get a tax bill for about $20,000. That hurts, right?
That's great information for our listeners and fans, because that's something I didn't know either, that they're getting taxed on that. So, yeah, I'll remember that next time I ask. Never mind, I don't know anybody in the show.
Well, we'll get you to a game. You'll come with us.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit of service time, guys, because that's been kind of a hot topic earlier this year in spring training and things. When you talk service time and as an agent, how pressed are you to want to get that guy up as quick as possible if you know he's there? What position does that put you two in as agents when there's a guy that is ready to go, but the team says, I don't know, because they want to keep that team control for that extra year?
It's a great question. We haven't had that type of situation just yet. We haven't had a player in that scenario. We've had scenarios where we had a guy coming off of the IL, and whether we put him on a 60-day IL, worked really well with the team on that. I would say that it kind of depends on the team, right? So some of the teams are really great to work with, just like any industry, right? Any industry you're in, some teams are great. Some folks are great. Some are terrible to work with. It's not unique to baseball. But basically, when it comes to the service time, potential service time manipulation, I get it I own my own business as well. I have a law firm with an agency, but I get it from hey, if the rules are the rules and they're in place and a team wants to keep a guy down for 9 to 13 days and keeps an extra year service time, is that almost malfeasance not to do that? Now, the rule actually in the CBA talks about how they're supposed to do it in good faith. Now, good faith from a lawyer's perspective is, what is that? That's an undefined term, right? So right. You can argue whatever that is. So we haven't had to deal with that. I know the new CBA is going to they're trying to address that. It's hard though. And that's nothing on the negotiators for the union or MLB. That is a really hard topic to negotiate, figure out. The issue is you get 172 days of service. Well, there's 180, sometimes 182 to 186 days in a calendar year. Mm-hmm. That's why you see these guys down for 10 to 11 days. So you got to get them down to 171 days of service to not let them have a full year, which then in turn means that they won't be a free agent for another year. There's a lot of proposals out there. One's, age-based or, how much time-based from when they got drafted, but it's hard. It's a really hard thing to figure out. And it's hard. I mean, all the other leagues have this problem too with competitiveness of tanking and anti-tanking. That's the way to do it. If there's a way to find a way to harm a team for tanking, basically, you're probably not going to keep a guy down for 10 more days. But from a personal perspective, we haven't had to deal with the preemptive hold down. We have the scenarios where we're counting service days every day. That's an amazing thing that's my life's become, is counting service days for baseball players. But
one day close to arbitration every day.
Right. One day close to their arbitration when these guys really get paid. Yep.
Yeah, well, you would think somewhere along the lines, and I obviously don't have the answer, but this all came up with Klinecki earlier this year with Mariners, and then, Gibson, Keith is a huge Cubs fan, God only knows why, and you got the Chris Bryant situation that years back.
Yep.
You talk about the service time of it, but is there a way to figure in performance? Because Bryant was killing it, the Cubs had nothing. There's nothing. I mean, it was so obvious, even more so than Klinecki, even though, Bryant's not really panning out, had one good year. Now he's whatever, but
we had Luis Valbuena.
Hey, Luis Valbuena. That's a good name right there.
But yeah, you would think that somewhere along the lines, there would be some numbers involved, as far as performance, to kind of help with that, which I'm sure the players union is trying to push. But
to that point, the fact that Bryant lost his grievance, I mean, you probably couldn't put it on a plate better that, hey, this is obvious manipulation, and yet he still lost.
Right.
I don't know what case could be even clearer. So we just need to fix it in the CBA or try, which again, it's really difficult provision to figure out, but
right.
Hopefully it gets worked out.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, tell us a little about KHG, guys, your sports management. You've got clients, both minor and major league. If you guys don't mind name dropping a little bit, who are some of your clients that you represent and keep working for every day in and out?
Yeah. So KHG as a company, I think Josh and I have been together for about 4.5 years now. Josh has been doing this going on, 12, 13 years?
Yep.
12, 13 years. We got together and partnered up about 4.5 years ago. We've taken this from about 7 or 8 clients Josh initially had to around 40 right now. We've had 5 guys in the big league so far. Justin Hancock, actually with the Chicago Cubs, was there a couple years ago. And then he went actually over to Japan, played in Japan for a year. And then we've had LJ Newsome is in the big leagues right now with Seattle, made his debut at 23 last year. And he's still there.
Best strike thrower in minor league baseball for two years in a row. He just throws strikes. Keep going, Drew.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's 0-2, 1-2 to every hitter. It's ridiculous. I don't know. But LJ Newsome, Jacob Webb in the middle of the Braves bullpen was a huge part of their piece last year in the playoffs. Art Warren, who was up in Cincinnati yesterday with the Reds. He was in Seattle last year. And now he's in Cincy from Ohio, another Ohio boy. So it's nice for him to go home. And I texted him the other day, actually. He was at home. He had an off day, and he's like, hey, I just drove home for the day. I was like, that's kind of cool. And then Austin Davis, who's now with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was with the Phillies last year and now and the Pirates at the end of the year, and then the Pirates this year full time. So those are the 5 big guys. Then we have some top prospects. Jordan Brewer with the Astros was Big Ten Player of the Year out of Michigan a couple years ago when they went to the College World Series.
Loves swinging. He loves to swing dinger bats, so it's good.
I like that plug.
Yeah. So Brew is a good kid. We got Daryl Hernandez, who's a top prospect with the Baltimore Orioles, a little shortstop out of high school from Texas. Pat Romeri, who's an outfielder in the Cardinals system, a high school kid out of Florida. Then we got Anthony Veneziano, who's going to be hopefully a big leaguer this year with the Royals. 10th rounder out of Coastal a couple years back. So we got a good crew, coming up as well as our current big guys. So we're excited, and I think we're going to have some big things happen this year.
How excited do you guys get when they get the call?
It's the greatest, man. It is the greatest. It's awesome.
And I never realized it when my parents, watch me play baseball, and I feel like a proud parent when I see this kid run up, but I'm nervous. I'm sweating. Yeah. I'm sitting here not talking. I'm like, what is happening right now during the game? So I kind of understand it now.
My youngest child, my daughter, turned 6 on Monday, and I'm pretty sure the only time I've been missed. I'm not a tough guy, but I don't really have emotions. But the only time I've been misty-eyed, other than since my daughter's been born, was when Justin Hancock was running on the field at Wrigley Field. That was cool, man. It's a great feeling, a great call. You don't forget it, even for us. We don't really forget when a kid calls you and goes, "Hey, I'm going up." That's pretty cool.
Right. And it's cool too because you've been with them, right?
Right.
It could be 5-6 years. It could be 10, 11 years. You never know. And then, you build this relationship where you're basically like family to them. And they call you and you're one of the first people they tell. And it's hard not to get emotional about it. Right. So
it's pretty cool.
Happy for them, family, and they put in all the work. So.
Well, Josh, Drew, we appreciate you guys joining us here on Full Count and give us a little insight on what's going on. If anybody wants to reach out to you or know about KHG Sports Management, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, you can look on our Instagram, Twitter, KHG Sports, social media pages, and then get in touch with us. Our website, www.khgsports.com. Check us out a little bit, and I think that's about it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Josh Knipp, president of KHG Sports Management, and Drew Hardee, vice president of KHG. We appreciate you gentlemen joining us. Give us the insight. Maybe we'll have you back on later in the year, and we'll talk maybe playoff baseball and something else. I'm sure there's a lot more we can dissect with you.
Would love to do that anytime.
All right.
Absolutely.
We'll take a quick break and come right back here on Full Count.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bees Trees.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551.
This is Full Count Triple Play Trivia. Make sure to play along on our Facebook group and our Facebook page along with Twitter for your Triple Play Trivia question and answer. Today's Triple Play Trivia question is, who holds the single season record for strikeout to walk ratio? Once again, your Triple Play Trivia question is, who holds the single season record for strikeout to walk ratio? Stay tuned to Full Count to find out the answer later in the show.
Welcome back to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you on this Saturday morning. We want to thank the guys from KHG Sports Management for joining us today. And what great guys they were, Kyle. Josh Knipp and Drew Hardee. And, boy, I tell you what, I bet they do not stop working ever.
No, it's pretty much nonstop. I stay in touch with them quite a bit just as friends. And then, obviously, we do some business together. But, it's a grind just like anything else. If you want to be the best, you got to stay on it all the time. And those guys, great guys, been in the game a while, as they said, Josh, especially Drew came on about 4 or 5 years ago, and they're building one heck of a stable of guys. So it's fun to see that, being friends with them and seeing the successes they have. But it doesn't stop. They're always, every time I talk to them, they're somewhere.
That's I'm sure it's fun too, though, for them. And as they said, when in the interview is when you see one of their clients get to the big leagues, it's like family, and you get that emotional too. And I would as well. So,
yeah, for sure.
Let's talk 10-5 rights, Kyle Drone, and what that means to the average fan and what it means to MLB players. So, for those unfamiliar or need a little reminder what 10-5 rights are, they're granted to a player who has accrued 10 years of Major League Baseball service time, including 5 consecutive years with his current team. So what that allows is these players are given veto power over any potential trade involving them. So that's a big milestone for some veteran guys who, if maybe they're having a down year and want to get traded, they've got that power, Kyle, to say, nope.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, if you're getting traded and you're a high-profile guy, you're probably not winning. You're probably not making a playoff push because they're not getting rid of their big name guys during that time. So it gives them the power to not get traded to the seller or even further or in a worse position than they're already in.
Right. That's exactly right. And, and it also allows them maybe to come out of it a little better financially as well. If they're traded, they've got that open right to either get the right deal for them, maybe closer to family, or maybe gets them somewhere they can win, or sometimes even financial incentives to move on. Maybe get a little extension or something like that. So some recent guys that 10-5, there's some deals been made. Adam Jones is a guy that comes to mind. He blocked a deal to the Phillies a few years back using his 10-5 rights. And Brandon Phillips, a Cincinnati second baseman for many, many years, had 10-5, and he finally allowed a trade and sent him to Atlanta a couple years ago when they were in the playoff push. So, he was able to get out of Cincinnati at the right time And I've always loved BP4. I've always been a big Brandon Phillips fan. I just love the way he plays the game and always smiled. But he had 10-5 rights. So to you, if you're a guy like Brandon Phillips and you've spent your entire career in Cincinnati, is that a tough decision for you to make?
Yeah, I got to believe it is. For a lot of players, I would be one of those guys that would want to stay with the team my entire career if possible. But, you got to look out what's best for you and your family for the long run too. So I don't know exactly what the deal was, if he got a bit of an extension on top of what he had with Cincy, a little bit more money, what it was, being closer to home. I don't know where he was from, but there's a lot of things that factor in.
Some guys who just recently became 10-5 right eligible include the Dodgers closer Kenley Jansen.
Mm-hmm.
So he came on. Jason Hayward of the Cubs, 10-5 now. And I had to look that up because I'm like, man, has it been 5 years already? And it sure has.
Yep.
That 8-year deal, he's already been there 5 years. So he's a 10-5 guy now.
Right.
So Johnny Cueto of the Giants, Freddie Freeman of the Braves, another 10-5 guy. Well, let's go back to Hayward here real quick. Hayward signed a 8-year deal. He's got roughly 3 years and $60 million left on the contract. If the Cubs fall apart this year, it's still going to be hard to move him, and now it's going to make it even harder for them to move him with the 10-5 rights, unless he goes to the right situation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, somebody's going to have to eat a lot of that contract, or the Cubs are going to have to eat a lot of that contract, and he's only going to want to go to a contender, I would think, at this point in his life. Maybe Atlanta. Yeah, that's where he's from.
Right.
They're fit to win it all potentially. I mean, they had the Dodgers down 3-2, 3-1 this last year, and just didn't have enough at the end. But I don't know that the Braves would need him or want him. But back to your question earlier, you were asking me about it. The other side of the club wanting to trade you and you vetoing or whatever, you also have in the back of your mind that club no longer wants you or no longer needs you. And that's got to factor mentally, I would think, to that decision, because 3 more years with a club that didn't want you, I don't know how that would feel either.
Right. I know if they're wanting to trade you, you're like, no, but yeah, I actually see your point there very well. So is it something that as a player, put yourself in the shoes like that? As a player, if they're trying to trade you, you're like, no, I don't want to go here. But now that you've brought it up, get me somewhere else. Yeah,
now you're looking. Now you're maybe, I don't know how the rules work. This has been a good agent question. When that comes up, are their agents now allowed to go fishing and see if there is an option for you, and then bring those deals to the team? Or I wish I'd have thought about that during the interview, but yeah, it's another good question. We'll ask them next time we have them on.
Definitely, without a doubt, that is something we talk about, and we like to, of course, give you some outside things you may not always think about within baseball here on Full Count, and that's like last week we talked, a little 10. With this week we talked 10-5, and we've talked a little bit of everything. Next week, who knows what we'll talk about, but always give an education, as I like to say here on Full Count. But hey, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk some more baseball, as we always do, because this is a Full Count, the show for baseball fans by baseball fans. We'll be right back after these messages.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Morgan's Place.
Morgan's Place Canine Salon has been offering exclusive one-on-one grooming services in the Champaign area for over 12 years, using all natural products, giving lots of love to your dog. Visit www.morgansplace.me to learn more. Morgan's Place, making dogs beautiful.
Today's Full Count on this date in baseball history. On April 24, 1917, George Modridge of the New York Yankees pitched a no-hitter over the Red Sox, winning 2-1. On this date in 1957, Chicago Cubs pitchers walked 9 Cincinnati Reds in the 5th inning, an NL mark as Cincinnati wins 9-5. In 1958, Lee Wells hits 3 homers and drives in 8 runs as the Cubs shell the Dodgers 15-2 at the Coliseum. On this date in 1962, Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax ties a Major League record he shares with Bob Feller by fanning 18 Cubs in 9 innings. The Dodgers win 10-2. In 1978, Nolan Ryan strikes out 15 Mariners, marking the 20th time he has done it in his career, but leaves with a no decision as the Mariners win 6-5 in 12 innings. And finally, in 1996, Greg Myers and Paul Molitor each had 5 RBIs as the Minnesota Twins set a team record for runs and rout the Detroit Tigers 24-11. It was the most runs against the Tigers in 84 years, matching the mark set in a 24-2 loss to the Philadelphia Athletics on May 18, 1912. That's your On This Date in Baseball History, presented by Full Count.
Welcome back to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Jerome, bringing you some more baseball news as we have some more tidbits to share with you. And Kyle, this week, Jay Bruce announced his retirement from baseball after an excellent career. He retired last Sunday after a 4-for-34 start with the Yankees. And Bruce, a longtime Cincinnati Red, and maybe one of the most underrated power hitters of the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, man, he had a great stroke from the left side, had some great years in Cincinnati, 30-plus home run years. I was actually surprised. He only played, 13 years?
Yeah, since 08.
And I say only, yeah, that's a great career, don't get me wrong. But, it's just surprising because he's been around so long, it seemed like. And last few years, not so much, bouncing around, but had some impacts. He very streaky last few years, but yeah, he's nothing to be ashamed of. Great career, and glad he's had that for himself, and fun watching him.
He knew when to walk away, I think, but he did earn 3 All-Star selections during his 8+ seasons with the Reds, Silver Slugger awards in 12 and 13. And here's a stat for you. I know you're a big analytics guy, Kyle Jerome. He had a 20 career WAR. So that's quite high for a guy who really couldn't play the outfield real well. I mean, he, let's be honest, great bat, not great defender.
Right, yeah, I have no idea what WAR means.
Wins above replacement. But
I was gonna say he was in 20 wars.
yeah, 20 wars. Yeah, probably a lot with the Reds. They're always in a fight with somebody.
It seems to be mostly the Cardinals.
But here's a stat that I want to throw at you that I read that I thought was just kind of crazy. He had 319 home runs since the start of the 2008 season.
Okay.
That's one ahead of Ryan Braun and a handful more than Giancarlo Stanton, who had 315, Jose Bautista, 313, Justin Upton, 308, and Mike Trout, 307. When I read that, I'm like, those are some big-time home run guys.
Right.
Yeah, he never was just a absolute superstar, but a great, I would say, second-tier outfielder, if you would. A guy I would love to have on my team for his bat and just the way he played the game.
Right. Not going to kill you in the outfield, but he's not going to dazzle you either.
Right. Other news reported here, just we'll touch base real quick on this, is there's reports that Max Scherzer saying he may want to be dealt at the trade deadline. What's your thoughts on that?
Now, did he say he wanted to be, or he'd be okay with looking at options?
He'd be okay with being dealt at the deadline.
Yeah. Yeah, because that I mean, it really surprises me. It kind of goes back now that, I mean, do they bring that up? Do they have that conversation? Hey, we're thinking about moving you, and then he comes out publicly and says it, and then that there's that whole thing, hey, they don't want me around, so I need to look, or whatever. It surprises me. They're definitely a contender, and he's I mean, you had him picked for Cy Young. So
I did. And, he's a competitor, and he's a guy with 10 and 5 rights. So a guy who has full no trade clause, and a guy who can kind of pick where he wants to go and what situation he wants to go into. I would be utterly shocked, and it would take, for me as a GM, a haul to trade away, if I'm the Nats GM, Rizzo, to get back for Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, but, who knows what each organization is doing. Is it a bottom line thing more than a personnel thing, or, what is it? It's hard to say. I agree with you. If I'm getting rid of a chip like that, I mean, I want a lot of chips back. So
that's exactly right. So that'll be an interesting story to keep an eye on here throughout the 2021 season. Hey, we'll take a quick break, come back here on Full Count, and make the call to the pin and close up the show. We'll be right back here after these messages.
It's now time for your Triple Play Trivia Answer of the Week. This week's Triple Play Trivia question was, who holds the single-season record for strikeout to walk ratio? The answer? The Yankees' Phil Hughes in 2014, 11.6 strikeouts per walk. That's today's Triple Play Trivia question and answer of the week. Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. If you need the taste of Southern Illinois, then visit the all-new Bosco's Biscuits and Booze, home of the world champion daily special. 2 large, all-natural, juicy white meat chicken breast, a side of the famous What the Hell biscuits, and a bucket of the cheapest beer in stock for only $6.99. Located at the corner of Old Milwaukee Boulevard, next to the Primo Hooer Hotel. Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. It's world champion food and cheap-ass booze.
Making the call to the pin here on Full Count, getting ready to close things up for this week, and we couldn't be more excited than to celebrate Dinger Bats being a part of MLB the Show 2021. So, Kyle Drone, congratulations to you and your entire team and Team Dinger, to your father, to Shane and all those guys. A lot of hard work, I know, went in, I'm sure, behind the scenes, but it's kind of pretty cool to see Dinger Bats now worldwide. What's that mean to you?
Just... First of all, appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's just kind of like we arrived, I guess. We're getting more recognition the more we're out there and the more players we have swinging us. And to have, it being recognized by Sony, one of the biggest gaming companies out there, biggest companies out there. And, they were great to work with. It means a lot. I mean, it's just great achievement.
We had a great Clubhouse Chat today, too, with 2 of your good friends from KHG Sports Management, Josh Knipp and Drew Hardee, MLBPA agents who got to talk contracts, free agent contracts and service times. And there's a lot of things that I'm sure we want to pick their brain about probably later on in the year, too.
Yeah, I love those guys, good friends, like you said, and have a great thing going with their agency, and just love to see them succeed. And I think they'll be more than willing to come on and be a regular on the show.
We want to make sure you follow us on social media. Follow Dinger Bats. Follow Full Count the Show. Join our Full Count the Show Facebook group where we will do giveaways. You can get hats, T-shirts. Just share the show and help us grow right here at Full Count. And we'll be happy to always make sure you're taken care of as well. Don't forget you can listen to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Google Play, Podbean, and, of course, dingerbats.com, where you can order your custom bats. By the way, thank you for my newborn son's bat that you got, my trophy bat. Love it. It'll be hanging in his room here this weekend as I put it up, so can't wait.
Very welcome.
All right, for my co-host, Kyle Drone, I am Keith Gibson. This has been another edition of Full Count. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next Saturday morning right here on Full Count.